This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. As you heard last week, sometimes I get questions from the kids. My stepson had a question for us this week.
Hey Mike, what's a life cycle?
That's a pretty good question, Grayson. Well, life cycles and life cycle analysis are pretty darn interesting. We care because when you do a life cycle, you look at every portion of a product, from the thought of it being created all the way through disposal. So we can really look at all the energy involved in its existence. Now, it is different if you buy something from a store than if you do online. And in our example, it's going to be the common store example. The stages that you will see in a product are planning, material collection, transportation of that material to the material processing plants, that processing of the material, transportation yet again from that plant to the manufacturing plant, manufacturing the product, transporting it to the warehouse, warehousing it, transporting it to a store where it can be sold to you through its use phase. And I'm going to stop there just for a second because, for an example, clothing, you have to count all the energy it takes to wash it each time. Sometimes you have a lawnmower. You get to count all the gas that goes into it and the maintenance. Its use phase can use a lot of energy too, even though it's just us using the product. Then we look at the disposal. Is it something that can be recycled? Will it go in a landfill? A life cycle takes it all the way from the concept to disposal and allows us to count the embodied energy. You've heard that term before. We've discussed it before. The total amount of energy it takes to get that product. You do it with a life cycle. There's a lot of common studies out there right now where they look at the advantages of using embodied energy calculated by a life cycle. For an example, how about your reusable cups? Are they better than paper cups? Paper biodegrades, right? Well, kinda. It has a wax coating, but yeah, still does. How many paper cups do you save by using the aluminum reusable cup? Well, it has to be a lot, because aluminum takes a lot of energy to make, but it lasts virtually forever and can be smelted back down with less energy than raw bauxite to make another aluminum cup. So, the amount of energy in that aluminum cup versus all the cups you would have used. The only bad thing is if you buy the aluminum cup and then not use it. Same thing when you look at cotton bags versus paper or plastic. If you buy a bunch of cotton bags but never use them, that is way worse than either plastic or paper bags, because those cotton bags are dyed. Those cotton bags are made of cotton, a farmed item, plus the manufacturing process. A lot of energy goes into them. So if you get them, you have to use them. This is how you find what is called an energy break-even point. For an example, I'm sure some of you have heard me say in some of the shows, or read in the book, that my aluminum cup that I have takes about 3.5 years before I've broke even. Well, that's because it has that much more energy than if I just kept using disposable cups. As long as I continue to use my cup, I'm coming out ahead. And it's the embodied energy figured out by a life cycle that allows us to know this. This helps us objectively grade what we're doing, because if we go by feeling and we go by opinion, we may end up still using more energy than we should. It might be that we're making the wrong choices, just simply based on how we feel about something. Me, being an engineer and kind of a science nerd, I like to quantify what I'm doing. I like to know that the math is correct and that math leads us in the right direction. Doing a life cycle analysis, looking at piece by piece what it takes to bring something to market, does that for us. So, thanks, Grayson. That's a pretty darn good question, and I greatly appreciate it. and I hope you did too. If you've enjoyed the show, please share it. Put it out on social media. Help get the word out on sustainability. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next week.
This episode is sponsored by Melting Me. Join the star of Melting Me, Nicholas Nazarian, in his journey of weight loss as he tries to teach himself how to live a healthy life in a supersized world. This podcast is an honest and open look at everything from his real-life struggles to his victories big and small. Come get your melt on with Melting Me on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you listening. Now please enjoy the show.